Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Major changes are on the way for BC ferries that could include service cuts, route changes, and even cable ferries. But fares will not be increasing after the provincial government reversed course this afternoon and agreed to add nearly $80 million in subsidy to keep the ferry system afloat. Kylie Stanton begins our coverage.
Number 9.
From getting past this booth and into the terminal to embarking on one of the 26 routes. The ferry system is a massive balancing act, but now it's hit a tipping point.
Bill 47 amends the Coastal Ferry Act.
The provincial government is introducing sweeping changes to the legislation, which dictates routes, fares, and the subsidy, now all getting an overhaul.
Will there be some changes within BC Ferries? Most definitely. There is some significant challenges.
It's in response to the BC Ferry Commissioner's review of the legislation, launched nearly 1 year ago and resulting in this 90-page document containing 24 recommendations focused on fares.
If increases are necessary, that they need to be reasonable and affordable and predictable.
But when the budget came down in February, the government made no room, instead holding its annual subsidy steady.
$170 million a year, I believe, is a pretty generous contribution to the ferry system over the next 10 years. That's $1.7 billion.
Now, just more than 2 months later, it's another story.
I'm announcing an increase in our service fee to BC Ferries. Over the 4-year term, we will see an injection of $79.5 million put towards BC Ferries.
Cross-subsidization between routes will also be permitted, using profits from successful runs to keep slower ones in operation.
Thank you.
Until 2013, fares will be capped at 4.15% on all routes, what's expected to decline over time. But BC Ferries will have to do its part, looking at where cuts can be made internally to reduce operating costs.
It's a $30 million target over 4 years, so we've got to sit down and talk to government, talk to the communities, talk to the Ferry Commissioner how we actually make that happen.
Whether it's enough to keep the company afloat is still up for debate.
It doesn't deal at all with affordability and the drop in ridership and the issues that we have in the communities.
Those communities will be consulted before any decisions are made. What could include potential cuts to service, just one of the many concessions that might be necessary to balance this system once again.
This is going to be a concerted effort from all three parties, being the government, BC Ferries, and the ferry users themselves.